It's time to put aside everything else. Get your blanket, pick up a cup of chai, bring along your friends and family from offline and online, or just come with your curiosity. And let us gather around the bonfire, listen to some stories, hear about books or films, chat up with a visiting guest, and sing along with melodies. I am Deepakiran. I travel around the world telling stories woven with music and dance. I train teachers on how to teach using storytelling, and I also share my thoughts on platforms such as TEDx Talks. It is a delight to invite you into my world of art, expression, and heart-to-heart connection. Tune in every alternate Thursday on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. By the Bonfire with Deepa. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in and joining us for By the Bonfire with Deepa. I'm looking forward to sharing oral stories, a little bit about a book that I love, a wonderful conversation with Ashok Gopalan, the guest for today, and music from the lovely Ananya Bhaskar. Come, listen, everybody. Just for you I have a story. And the story I bring you today will, I hope, be of relevance in the current times, the month of May 2021. The scene that the young man saw as he sat by the seashore was one full of despair. Thousands of fishes had been washed ashore by the waves. They lay there on the sand, almost dying, some dead. And in the midst of this, the young man noticed an old man walking quietly along the seashore, picking up fish after fish and plop, throwing the fish back into the water. The young man went up to the old man and said, "What do you think you're doing? There are thousands of fishes here. You're just picking up one and plopping it back into the water. How does that help?" The old man quietly picked up another fish and threw it back into the water. He smiled and said, "I saved this one." A story indeed of resilience, reassurance, and hope that we can continue to do what we can do. There is a life lived which has been one such inspiration for many people across the world. And the story of this person is what I'd like to bring in our books and films section. Surely you're joking, Mr. Feynman. Adventures of a curious character as told to Ralph Layton. This book from Vintage Books is one of my favorites. It is a collection of sharings by Richard Feynman, the renowned physicist, of anecdotes and episodes and incidents in his life, reflections about the same, with his friend Ralph Layton. And it brings out for us the mosaic of Feynman's life. Of course, his physics lectures, his work in the field of physics is still much valued and is a reference point for great science communication. But that apart, the book also introduces to us The life of Feynman, the character of Feynman, a man who had no patience with hypocrisy, a man who was naughty, who was mischievous, who would up the game when there was a one-upmanship, and yet a man who was deeply humble. After getting a job at the university, when he reached late night and found the lobby closed, Feynman looked around a bit, found no place was open, and actually slept on a heap of dry leaves beside the road. And on another occasion, he received a late night transatlantic call which said, "Congratulations, we are calling from the Nobel Prize Committee. You won the Nobel Prize for Physics. Thank you, could we speak in the morning?" And he clicked shut the phone. When his wife asked him what the call was about, he said, "I won the Nobel Prize." That was Richard Feynman. He believed the satisfaction was in the work itself. The reward was in being able to pursue what he loved. Once Richard Feynman actually stole the door of the room of a couple of nerdy students, and he did such a good job of it that no one discovered. When there was a committee formed, an informal committee, to find out who did it, Richard Feynman admitted it, but nobody would believe him. And that was his take on human psychology. That even when you speak the truth, sometimes people do not believe you. Feynman also spoke in the book about his disillusionment with the education system, of how once there was a committee meeting of people from the education field who were given the books of the publishing house, and they all had to come and discuss the books. Feynman had really sat and gone through all the books, and when they met, he realized that most of the others hadn't at all read the books. In fact, there were a couple of pages that were empty in one textbook. And Feynman purposely brought it up saying, "What do you think about this chapter, page number so and so?" And others came up with grand views about what was written there. He wrote about his disillusionment with the system. Nevertheless, this never downed his spirits. Feynman not only continued his fantastic work in the field of physics, in the field of science communication, but it's also well known that he pursued many other things in life. He learned drumming, he learned nude sketching, he also learned the basics of sign language. These are among the multitude of pursuits, kaleidoscopic, rich pursuits that Dr. Richard Feynman, the physicist, had in his life. In fact, these are what provoked his wife to often say, "Surely you're joking, Mr. Feynman," which is indeed the title of the book. And just to clarify, it is the story of a physicist, but it is for all of you to read. There aren't heavy technical terms at all. It is a story of his life, and it's loads of fun. So I hope you explore this book. Surely you're joking, Mr. Feynman, from Vintage Books. From books, we now move over to meet our guest. It's time now for the conversation with Ashok Rajagopalan, an illustrator for children's books, comics, magazines, stories, textbooks, and covers since 1989. Ashok turned writer in 2006 with his first book, Witsnap, from Penguin India, which was also the first Indian game book. Ever since, he's contributed about 20 books and even written for comics and magazines, including the very popular Rai, the Rhino Who Couldn't Say No, a series that continued for 4 years for Toot, a monthly magazine of Hatchet, India. Ashok is, of course, best known for the series of Gajapati Kulapati picture books published by Tulika, with 4 books published in the series so far, which has been at the top of the bestsellers list. Ashok's stories are usually funny and jolly, with some subtle positive messages, never preachy or serious. Ashok lives in a quiet and green part of Chennai with his family and, of course, books. Hi, Ashok. Welcome to By the Bonfire with Deepa. It's lovely to have you here.
Good evening, Deepa. Nice to be here with you.
And among so many other things that we know Ashok for his writing, for his illustrations, Pati Kulapati is one of the series that is so much loved among all of your work. There's a lot of it starting way back from 1989, right? Tell us something about what has helped you stay humble.
Actually, I have a very thick ego, but why I appear humble is, why I don't brag is because they humble me at home.
Okay.
You know, once a writer friend, when the children liked the story very much and they came up to her and said they loved the story and all that, she said she felt humbled. That I never understand. How can you feel humbled? I usually feel prouded. But at home, they don't think much of my work. They don't read any of my books. I told my wife, see, I am there in the papers again, to my wife. And she said, I asked you to buy 8 eggs. Why have you bought only 4? So, like that. This is what keeps me humble.
I think you mentioned that sometimes your wife tells your son that if you don't study properly.
Yeah, you will grow up to become an artist like your brother and father.
If you don't study
Meaning
properly.
That's the worst occupation ever.
Because I know we've had these discussions about how the life we lead, artists, freelance artists, is not a regular salaried life. And
right.
you were sharing your thoughts about the economics of a freelancer's life.
Right. So one thing I learned is, as a freelancer, you don't behave, you don't spend your money or invest like a salaried person. Because 1 month, a freelance guy like me would be rich. 1 month I'd be poor. So I can't do this regular stuff. So what I learned to do is, when I have lots of money, when I'm flush, then I buy the big TV. Freelancers are like cats. Salaried people are like dogs. We just didn't go anywhere when we had a dog. Or unless there was somebody else who could take care of the dog. Whereas these cats, cats are always on the streets. They don't care. If you don't feed them, they'll somehow manage. Yeah. They're always on the streets. So freelance people are always on the streets. They're used to being there.
So you were talking about how it is like the childhood where you postpone gratification.
Yes. I think parents those days did that to us. Parents asked us to wait. Wait for your birthday, then I'll get you this. Wait for something, I'll get you this. Or you get good marks, you'll be rewarded with this. So we usually waited. And even for movies, you had to book in advance if you want to be sure of getting a ticket. Those days. Now, parents tend to indulge their children. So it's instant gratification these days,
Right.
One of the signs of greatness is to delay gratification. All these great men usually waited.
So freelancers get a chance to be great automatically.
Yes. We like to think so.
We don't have a choice to be great.
Yeah, we have to console ourselves in so many ways.
And you had a theory that you've seen drought periods, but they never lasted for more than 6 months?
Yeah, you have a great memory, Deepa. This I must have told you, I don't know when.
More than a decade ago. We met only once 2 years ago, but we've known each other for almost 12 years now.
Yeah, very funny. Yeah, there are temporary recessions and there are general recessions. The whole market goes down. It happened to me once or twice in my life. This is entertainment.
Right.
So entertainment is usually given a poor cousin treatment. I have panicked and I've gone and got myself employed. And my wife doesn't help things also. She's more panicky than me. But then I found out, so at least have money for 3 to 6 months. 6 months ideally.
Right.
And don't bother. Stay positive. Things will get back to normal. Usually it is like 3 months. Usually you will get your opportunities again by 6 months. Take a break. This is a chance to take the family out on a tour.
I know this is perspective you had shared even earlier, which was very helpful for me. That's why I remember it even today.
Oh.
And yeah, truly. Sometime in your 40s, you had this entire trajectory change in terms of what you need to truly prioritize in life.
Yes. After 40, I decided to totally, give myself a character or a personality makeover. Totally,
In what way?
It's not that I'm successful in all areas, but, you don't have to be successful immediately. You can tend towards things. So I wanted to be honest. Not lie at all. There's no percentage in lying. It's very difficult. Whether you do it for a good reason, I don't have a good memory when it comes to these things. To be a good liar, you should have a great memory.
Yeah, that's true. My father would say that.
He's right. You have to remember what you told each person,
Yeah.
So also, it is actually practically honesty is the best policy. No tension, no stress, nothing. It's like you have in your head all the windows. Maybe you can keep the door closed, but you can keep the windows open so there's breeze. You have what you call cross ventilation. Otherwise it's very difficult. You have less stress that way. So honesty. So I've succeeded. I don't have to really bother. No, I don't have to think when I answer. Except now I'm taken to task for doing that. People don't like me telling everybody everything and all that. So I've learned to not do that either too much. And then regular habits. And I had, for a bigger salary, I could have gone to one of the top agencies in Chennai then. So I had these two offers, lesser salary, Tulika. I opted for Tulika because it was a non-partying, it's a safe place. They were not like workaholics or anything. It was like home actually. A very cozy place, nice people, and a great ambience for you discuss writing and reading, and I actually wrote Gajapati there. It wasn't meant to be published. It was just written. I wrote it there. It was a great ambience. So one of the choices I made. This partying and deciding to be a family guy, that became a proper domestic animal after 40. And regular hours, eating, sleeping, all that regular time.
I remember you said that it's funny how we end up prioritizing career and friends and the ones who are actually caring for us,
Yes.
We do not realize.
Yes. We are very good to outside people, to our colleagues and bosses and the people at work and clients, and we are very nice to friends. But to people at home, so we call that being natural. But why can't we be naturally good to them? So I decided to be good to people at home. So now I have exclusive times with each member of the family, going to school and back. So we are a very talkative family. So our bonding is usually talk and bedtime stories. We had this community bedtime But one story for I think for the missus it was this motivational stories. No,
Oh,
like Chicken Soup for the Soul or books
acha.
like that.
What is her name?
Then Preeta.
Preeta.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so for Preeta it was that, and then for the older one we know it was Uddhav's. So he was in college. We still had bedtime stories.
Oh.
So we used to, and for the little one, Roald Dahl and Enid Blyton and all that. So
Uh-huh.
I was very careful to ensure that we spend exclusive time. So with Preeta, uh, we watch soap operas. I know lots of people speak our Indian soap operas, crying women and all that, and horrible mothers-in-law and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But she likes, it's a great distraction for her. It's like, I don't know, it's like instead of gossiping, I think women, you can't say, not like women only gossip. Men to do it, except they don't call it gossip. So,
Yeah.
so I don't. So she likes them. So I get what anything on TV is addictive. You watch Master Chef, you'll be addicted to that. You watch a reality show, you'll be addicted to that. So
Mm.
I actually enjoy. I'm not doing it for her. So we
Mm.
enjoy all these soap operas together.
Right.
Now I'm sorry.
Yeah, please go ahead.
The son is married and gone, the older one, we know. So
Mm.
Nirmal is here.
Mm.
Nirmal, 2 episodes of a sitcom in the morning. For lunch. And then for dinner, 2 episodes of another sitcom. So that is our exclusive time together. So this has become very important to me.
Yeah, I can see that this has become a very, in a way, a conscious attempt at some kind of a family ritual
Ah,
that you have with each
conscious
member.
attempt was the phrase I
Mm.
was searching for. Thank you.
Mm.
Mhm.
I'm sure some of us are doing it, some of us are finding ways to do it. As you spoke, I was remembering that usually whenever I come back from an international travel, if I'm
Ah,
away for 1 week or 10 days, and the children are,
ah,
now they're teenagers, but they were a little younger, preteens. So I would just switch off my phone and it's just us in the house playing board games. I'm cooking something. We go for a movie together.
right,
The next few
right.
days is just that, and we didn't realize that we were doing it consciously, but that distance, that being away, time zones, you cannot speak easily. Um, it's
Right.
hectic schedules there. So this really helped us reconnect and come back together as bond together as a unit. So I know yesterday also when we were deciding the time, you said, "No, this time I will be with my son. We will be watching this sitcom. I
Yes.
wouldn't like to miss that," which was so beautiful.
He
Yeah.
doesn't think anything of my work or what parents do for the children, what they think is important, the sacrifices the parents make and all that. All good people, all good parents. But
Mm-hmm.
do you know what the children value?
Hmm.
For instance, when I was a kid, my father put me into an expensive school, and he said, "See, I'm paying so much fees." And the expensive fees was 221 per term those days. So he said, "And you're not getting good marks." I don't feel grateful to him for putting me into the expensive school. He didn't ask me, like R.K. Narayan Swami,
Hmm.
when his father says the same thing, he says, "Oh, okay, I don't want to go to school. Why did you put me into school?" So actually, that is how I felt. But
Hmm.
the family tours, we went to many places. That is what I recollect with gratitude. Those are the happy memories. Children will treasure those memories. The
Mm.
time you spend together more than the things you really did for them with great difficulty. You
I hear
know.
you. Mm.
Uh-huh.
And you didn't
So,
want to regret later, like you saw some of your friends, that, oh, I didn't see how life has passed by, and I had all this work pressure, and I wish I'd spent more time with my family.
uh,
Second priority.
not my friends, Deepa. I read
Mm.
an article where they interviewed hundreds of people on their deathbeds.
Okay.
And so, most of these people, the biggest regret was they didn't spend time. They were going after work and everything else, and they didn't spend time with their family. So that was the biggest regret. So I don't want to have any regrets at the end of my life. So as far as possible, human. I mean,
Right, right. Yeah. And you said in spite of treating my career as secondary, things seem to have fallen in place. And I believe that maybe precisely that's why, because you weren't anxious about, would you look at it that way?
hope there are no children in the audience. I didn't become a children's illustrator or a writer by choice.
Uh-huh.
I was illustrating all kinds of things. Stickers, posters, magazines, all kinds of things, whatever came my way. Logos. Adult books don't need illustration. Only children's books need illustration. So that's why I got into children's publishing, because there's more work there. I
Okay.
never, it wasn't a choice like that. It just happened like this.
It just happened.
I enjoy my work, but for me, family is first. I'm not a career person. For me, it's not. I'm not ambitious. I mean, you would wish you have more money, or you would like to have more money, but I'm not. That's not priority for me.
Mm.
Even if things go the way they are now, no, I'll be
Mm.
very grateful.
Mm. And yet, you've had a beautiful journey working with many of the best publishing houses in India: Penguin, Hachette, Tulika. Yeah,
Talking ka Pratham,
yeah.
yeah, sorry, Scholastic too.
Which are the ones you've enjoyed the most?
I've done so much for Tulika. I don't know, 30 to 35 books. So,
Mm.
so I had. I mean, if you look at the thing, more time I had fun. No, so it was for Tulika. So I have to say that.
You have to say that, right, right.
Mm,
And I also liked another phrase you used, you said that I've never cursed my work.
Yeah, I don't believe in hard work. So I don't believe hard work leads to success, like they used to tell us at school. I mean, I don't believe in laziness either. But if you can, I mean, if there is no option, you'll have to do anything. I mean, to survive and to look after your family, be ready to do anything. But if there is a choice, you should do something you love. Ideally, you should start young, because then you can afford to make your choices. Not after you have a big family. No, then it will become difficult to start something new or something. So, if you do something you love, you won't get tired, you won't get stressed, and you'll do your output will be more much like your work, Deepa. So what you do. So I don't believe you do hard work either.
Yeah, yeah. This is reminding me of what my father would always tell me. Take up a job you like, and you don't have to work a single day in your life.
Right. Yeah, that's well put. That's exactly what I meant.
Yes. And so I get you, there are days when it's so literally physically exhausting at the end of a performance or back-to-back performances, huge audience. And then,
Right.
though the body is exhausted, I feel I don't need that car or that taxi. I can just fly back home. Yeah. So, yes, I get what you mean by not cursing the work. Right. I guess we are lucky that we have been able to exercise that option. And I hear that, in
Yes,
your
we are
words,
lucky.
gratitude, you keep talking about gratitude for being where we are today. And
I am, I got that from my mother. She wasn't very, I mean, she still is the same way. She's a great grandmother now, but I remember she used to tell me, My father probably wanted to earn more or whatever. He was an engineer. While my mother always said, uh, everything goes on as it is now. I am happy. That's what she. That's what I feel. Bigger things happen. They're all bonuses. You can be a little more grateful, but as long as
Right, right. In that case, anything, becomes something to be grateful for, which is above the status
yes.
quo. Yeah.
Actually, I think recently been hearing so many things about these good chemicals in the body and all that. Serotonin, endomorphin.
Oxytocin,
No, I don't
dopamine.
know.
Yes, yes.
Dopamine and all that.
Dopamine,
Uh,
endorphin, serotonin, and oxytocin.
yeah, before I read all this itself, I used to feel actually when you feel good, when you feel loved, or when you actually give love to people or your work or anything, and you laugh and you don't have stress, you can actually feel good chemicals in your body. And then when you're upset, you actually bad chemicals you can actually feel. Gratitude. Gratitude is actually a combination of being loved or loving and happiness and contentment and I don't know. So I think a lot of good chemicals happen in the body, when you're feeling great.
So
Yes.
true, so true. I know that talking of children, you've had the latest series, which is Adventures of Gulgul.
This is for Talking Cub, and the editor is Sudesh Ashok.
Mm-hmm.
Talking Cub is a children's imprint of Speaking Tiger, which is a publisher.
Mm-hmm.
So this is about a girl called Gulgul, and three more coming this year. I'm writing three more. Three are already out there.
3 are already out. Adventures of Gulgul
Yes.
with Talking Cub. So all the Ashok
Yes.
Gopalan fans, they're all looking out for the rest of them. And those who haven't caught up, it's time that you all catch up on these.
Hope I wouldn't be known only for Gajapati Kulapati,
No, for so much more. There's Hasya in my house. Haha Hasya.
Oh,
Yeah.
you have Asya.
Yes,
Okay.
we'll leave in the description all the other books of Ashok Raj Gopalan also. So look out for those. And if you haven't caught up on any of those, you should read those as well. So thank you so much, Ashok, for this wonderful conversation in By the Bonfire with me, Deepa. And I can definitely say that I'm feeling a rush of good chemicals at the end of this 40 minutes.
Thank you, Deepa.
After that fun conversation with a truly wise and fun soul, Ashok Rajagopalan, children's writer and children's books illustrator, it is but appropriate that we sit back and enjoy the melodies of Ananya Bhaskar.
आशाएं घिरे दिल की उम्मीदें हंसे दिल की अब मुश्किल नहीं कुछ भी आशाएं घिरे दिल की उम्मीदें हंसे दिल की अब मुश्किल नहीं कुछ भी सोचा कहा था ये जो हो गया माना कहा था ये लो हो गया चुटकी कोई काटो ना है हम तो होश में कदमों को था वो ये है उड़ते जोश में बादल पे पाँव है या झूठा दाव है अब तो भाई चल पड़ी अपनी ये नाव है बादल पे पाँव है या झूठा दाव
And on that melodious note, we come to the end of the first episode, the first gathering by the bonfire. Thank you so much for joining in, for tuning in, and for being there in the sharing of oral stories, of reflections on the book Surely You're Joking, Mr. Feynman, for the heartwarming conversation with Ashok Gopalan, and the beautiful music from Ananya Bhaskar. And so it's time to bid goodbye, to leave the side of the bonfire. Do remember, however, to carry this warmth in your heart and to tune in for another gathering and another gathering and another gathering by the bonfire with Deepa every alternate Thursday on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. Bye-bye.